welcome to the Cube Arena. This is where the League of Legends competition is going to be taking place with the biggest names and the best teams from all across the world fighting for a chance at the title of the Esports World Cup winners. All right, thank you guys so much for joining us because we have one of the Arabic influencers. Here's Momo from Morocco. I appreciate you for taking the time to talk to me. I want to ask you about the importance of having an international event for League of Legends in MENA, which brings teams like T1 and BLG to the competition.
Well, first of all, I'm so happy to see you here. It's finally back to your region. Well, this means so much to us in the MENA region because finally there's going to be spotlight on us. We have amazing talents from casters, players, mainly players, and we finally have our own server, which I really hope you guys can check it out. But having an international stage here will just show how many fans of League of Legends exist here. And this is really a great opportunity for us and for the region to shine internationally as well.
And this is the totem for the Esports World Cup, where there are a total of 22 keyholes. Every single team competing in one of the 21 titles will be able to fit their key in the required position and solidify themselves in history. And that's it from us here from the Cube Arena, where all the competition is still in full swing. I hope everybody at home and those here are enjoying their times, and we'll see you around.
Hey, Isa, look, it's you in the mountains.
Isn't Kedral commentating?
No, he's not reacting. No. He took a week break or something.
Oh, okay. You'll be.
Feel definitely good playing on the big stage, especially playing versus Fnatic. I know they wanted to beat us, they wanted to revenge us. I'm glad I can tell them not yet.
이렇게 큰 대회에 항상 참가하게 되는 거는 너무 선수로서 영광이고 정말 기쁜 일인 것 같고.
Certainly this is getting real dicey. There is another snare as the Cosmic Binding locks down Knight. He's the target in the Hyperproc. He's going to do it. The Nara into the wall. The wall up there from Zayas. And he hits that Mega Nara at exactly the right time.
I've been meeting the T1 for a long time right now. I think T1 was always like the strongest individual. Every tournament, I think we are getting closer to take down the T1. I'm hoping this is the time.
There's a Glacial Prison as well. Special delivery of Gumayushi with the Killer Instinct, and there goes the Zyra.
그때 제 느낀 감상은 좀 되게 단단하고 또 엄티 선수가 초반에 변수도 잘 만들기 때문에 사실 우승을 충분히 노릴 수 있는 그런 위치에 섰다고 생각하기 때문에
I think there is a chance we can go to the final. that will be really meaningful for all the NA fans who will make it.
Well, if anyone knows a thing or two about beating T1, that'd be that man on your screen right there. Core JJ rolling on in with Team Liquid, part of our ALJ arrivals here at the Boulevard Studios, working their way to the Kadia Arena to do battle and stay undefeated in terms of series here at the Esports World Cup. But their opponents, the reigning world champs, yeah, they took them a little while to turn it on, but then they did, and they closed it on out. T1 trying to make the first ever finals here at the Esports World Cup presenting League of Legends. And they've got a tough test against them as this Team Liquid squad looking to stay on top. As it was kind of interesting, as I said, Team Liquid looking solid.
Looking solid. And I think it's more important as well that T1 are looking a little bit vulnerable. They most recently lost their series domestically versus KT. Team Liquid were able to take a game off them before. This is an opportunity for Team Liquid to really take advantage of what seems like a really strong opportunity.
I would say that, it's a great opportunity, but I think that T1 at least did look better in their series against BLG compared to their one against KT. So I would say coming over here to EWC, they look like they're in better form, and I would have rated them ahead of TL, to be honest, before this tournament. So,
Still do, honestly.
It could be an upset. It could happen for Team Liquid, but they're going to have to do some work.
Well, we know a couple of guys that have some thoughts on this, so let's send it on over to our casters who are standing by on the Boulevard.
Let's see the casters for the game.
Thank you so much, Dagon. And I'm Alice, joined by Wolf here. We're going to be casting the first series. We're here at the very sunny Boulevard Studios. Ready to get into this series. Wolf, some expectations for today. Do you feel upsets in the air?
I mean, we've definitely been feeling some upsets in this tournament. We've definitely seen some games that have gone a little bit crazy, a little bit wild. We've seen some unique and different champions. I think T1 definitely coming in as massive favorites in this series. We saw already Team Liquid take out Fnatic, APA, super on form. His Ziggs was pretty incredible to watch. So maybe some unique strategies coming out from TL could take an upset game.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether it's contagious, whether yesterday's upset city that we saw, FlyQuest almost getting there at the very end, as well as Gen G falling down. Perhaps now we've just got upsets in the air. But back over to you guys at the studio.
Thank you very much to my Blues brother and Spider-Man in suit. That was Atlas and Wolf for the breakdown, and they'll be on the call for our first matchup. Guys, we know these rosters really well. Again, coming back from MSI, Team Liquid, the #1 team from LCS, and T1, the reigning champs. You go up and down this roster. Experience on the top side. Core is your experience there, but the damage is done by the two damage dealers in the mid lane and the AD carry role.
For sure, and I think it's really important to note just how the Fnatic GM was talking about. You have the experience, you have the new rookies who have these crazy hands. We know that Yon and APA have been these crazy grinders with some of the largest solo queue numbers of any players on the North American ladder. It's really going to be looking for opportunities for them to be very aggressive today. And I know that Jan was talking about how he was having a little bit of trouble like warming up to the studio last time around. Not expecting that to be a problem now that they've actually had some games on stage.
Yeah, and given that it is a best of 3, I think that for any NA team, for Team Liquid, I think they could come in here and throw a curveball. T1 have struggled with that before. We've already seen Gen G, another Korean team, also struggle with draft issues. So maybe that's the angle. Maybe you come out here for game 1, you try to throw them a curveball, and perhaps that'll get them ahead.
And I think it's really important to know as well that Team Liquid at MSI did actually have leads against T1 in multiple games. There's a very real world where Team Liquid could have 3-0'd if they had just been able to close out those games last time around.
Yeah, a lot of the time when we have seen the North American squad, whoever it was of that era, play up against T1 or the LCK squad of that era, the issue wasn't necessarily hands in the early game, it was the decision-making later on. That is what Team Liquid is looking to build this experience on, and they're doing it against one of the toughest tests in the world. It's T1.
I think the biggest thing as well looking at this team is it took T1 a little bit of time as well to warm up in their series, but eventually Kyria realized, what if I was actually the best support in the world that so many fans think I am? And he went absolutely nuts in their third game on the Bard.
That's a great idea. Just be the best support in the world. Yeah, I mean, Kyria's had ups and downs, but I think definitely his Bard game was one of the big ups that we have seen in recent times, and essentially carried in a big way. I mean, Gumas Jin, shout out to that too. He played an excellent game as well. And BLG, they put up a great fight, but at the end of the day, T1, you know, they brought their own curveballs. They brought their own interesting things to the best of three. So definitely, as an LCK commentator myself, am confident that they should be the favorites coming into this one. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think a unique matchup here is going to be in the jungle. Only two unique champions played for Umti in the LCS, in the Sejuani and Maokai, and Zeus is leading the charge, part of the AP jungle meta. How is that going to shape up? As BLG tried in game number 1 with Jun, who is a stud in the LPL at the jungle, he went 1-6, 1-7 on Zyra. Did not look great.
It's definitely a really big opportunity here for the North American team because so much of the meta has been dominated by all of these carry junglers. And while we know that T1 has a very strong one in Owner, just the fact that you can throw a curveball, we got to see exactly how powerful that Ivern was yesterday when played by Top Esports. You have ways to neutralize a lot of these strong carries.
Yeah, well, right now we have Kitty standing by with an interview with one of our opponents.
Hi everyone, this is Kitty outside of the Cube stage with teams slowly arriving. We have Team Liquid vs T1 coming right up for the first semifinals of League of Legends. I wanted to grab APA, the mid laner of Team Liquid, and have a little bit of a chat with him. So, how are we feeling today? Did you rest well?
Of course, yeah. We're adjusting well to the sleep schedule, so I'm rested and I'm excited for today.
That's super good to hear. But of course, you guys are going against T1 that just won up against BLG. So how is the confidence level feeling over at the team?
Well, this will be my first time or third time facing them in the year, so I'm excited. I'm confident we can take it.
I mean, you guys are technically the last hope of NA. So do you guys have anything to say for the fans that really want you guys to bring back that pride for America?
Very low chance.
I think we're just doing our best to keep NA hopes alive.
Of course.
Even he's
and
not
best of
confident
luck to this best of 3, and hopefully we'll see you play Ziggs.
It's going to be a steamroll.
Thank you very much, Kitty. APA working on his Twitch cosplay. He just showed up out of nowhere in the Boulevard and then had the spicy answers ready for everything that Kitty threw at him. APA, again, has been so core to this roster as they made a change last year. I think people forget he's still within that first year range of his pro career.
He's been such a new player, and everybody in the Challengers League and below have been asking for this guy to have his opportunity to play in the LCS and internationally. I have to admit, when I was talking to him at Worlds last year, I told him, hey, I thought you were going to get kicked in the teeth. And he just continuously showed up over and over again, continuously defying all the expectations that everyone has had about our players.
Well, if he's going to continue to defy expectations, he has to do it against the GOAT in the mid lane. We have an interview with Faker right now.
Hi everyone, Ginny here, and I'm joined with Faker from T1 ahead of their game against Team Liquid. I would like to talk about the fact that we so quickly got to the semifinals, and we've seen a lot of teams competing already. There's one team left per region. Which one has stood out to you the most?
네, 일단 뭐 TS랑 젠지 경기를 봤을 때 확실히 그쪽 경기가 되게 좋아 보였고, 그리고 저희 조에도 TA도 충분히 강하다고 생각을 했기 때문에 이번 경기 좀 모든 팀들 다 눈여겨볼 만한 것 같습니다.
So obviously TS versus Genji was a very interesting one, and of course TS played very well, but I'm also thinking about TL playing really good as well, so every match will be a really tough match.
Every match so far has been a little bit unexpected, so to say. There have been a couple of upsets, especially with the Genji one, as you mentioned. When it comes to a tournament like this with the format, no lower bracket, just a couple of days, what do you think are the key elements that are bringing success to teams?
아무래도 3판 2선이다 보니까 어느 정도 좀 전략적인 준비도 중요한 것 같고, 그런 뭐 메타적인 해석도 되게 중요하다고 느끼고 있고요. 네, 무엇보다 이제 각 지역에 강한 팀들이기 때문에 좀 서로 뭐 이기고 지고 할 수 있다고 생각하고 있습니다.
So of course it's a best of 3, so we need to prepare for all the meta plays and the strategics, but they're all the best in the region, so I think we should prepare for anything.
Okay, that's really good to hear. And in terms of the tournament as a whole and the Esports World Cup, when we're looking at T1 and we're looking at yourself as well, a big history in League of Legends and in esports as general, what would it mean to be able to solidify your name in history by being the first team to win this kind of competition?
뭐 사실 T1 같은 경우에 좀 많은 팬분들의 사랑을 받고 있어서 되게 이제 관심도가 높은데, 뭐 그것과는 별개로 저희도 마찬가지로 하나의 프로 팀으로서 어떤 대회든 우승하고 싶다는 마음인 것 같고 그거는 뭐 어떤 팀이든 다 마찬가지라고 생각해서 뭐 그냥 저희는 최선을 다하는 게 가장 중요한 것 같습니다.
Yes, of course, we're getting a lot of attention by the fans of all around the world. But that aside, we as a team, we want to win as a team. So I think that we will focus on that.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Faker, and thank you so much for the translation, Maddox. Dijon, back to you.
Laser focus there by Faker. Again, thank you to our content host, Ginny, and translations by Maddox. That's answers that we expected here by Faker. No games, no frills, just winning.
It's very, it was about as plain as it got, unfortunately. I mean, that's kind of the way Korean interviews do go. He's like, we just got to play our game. We're going to try really hard. We want to win. That's essentially all we're thinking about. So didn't get much else out of it.
Yeah, I really hope that we get to see a little bit more excitement from their gameplay, right? That is one thing that T1 have been known for rather consistently. They always have these explosive fights in the middle of the game, and that's how they take a lot of their games throughout the course of their history. And I think even though they're a little bit, very political and very easygoing when it comes to the interviews, they are not that way when it comes to the Rift.
Well, you guys at home have the opportunity to play it however you want with our STC predictions. Head on over to www.stcplay.gg to put your predictions for the semifinals here at the first ever Esports World Cup presenting League of Legends. So it's time for my experts to do so. Joshi, Valdanalist, where are you going with this matchup?
Look, there's a major part of me as an NA fan who has been casting the region for so long. I want to give as much hopium or copium to my Team Liquid brethren as possible, but I still have to vote with my brain. I have to say, I think Team Liquid, we will be getting one game off of this one, but it will probably end up being a T1-2-1.
I'm going to go with the 2-0 here. I think the safe prediction for me is that T1 is going to win this one pretty handily. They were tested by BLG. I think T1 are ready for this one. They've had time to settle in. Those first best of threes, actually, I think are the most volatile, and now they've had time to settle in, as I said, so they should be the favorites here.
Well, as APA has noted, the third time this matchup will be played in a best-of series. How will it go in the semifinals? Let's find out together as we send it on over to the Qiddiya Arena.
Welcome to the Esports World Cup presenting League of Legends. We are live again at the Qiddiya Arena for day 3 and our semifinals matches. Once again, I'm Kangas.
And I'm Fancy, and in the past 2 days, we have seen 4 quarterfinal matches, and nobody expected the outcome. G1 almost not making it to the semifinals. G2 having to get to game 3 just to win, and Gen G, the audience's favorite. Yeah, and nobody expected that they would lose their first match.
Everyone thinking Gen G could make the run. They're out already, but my favorite moment so far here at the arena has been the crowd reactions. We had such electric moments throughout the quarterfinals. What was your favorite? Yeah, let's hear it a little bit. What was your favorite moment, Fancy?
T1 walking on stage and just that crowd went ballistic, and honestly, they're gonna be on stage any moment now, and when that happens, I'm sure they're gonna have even a better reaction.
Also, I gotta say, shout out to the G2 fans that kept cheering throughout the entire series, even when, especially when they were behind. That was incredible. So I'm hoping we can keep the same energy going into the semifinals matches, because we got 2 ahead of us today.
That's right, 2 semifinals tonight, and more crushed keys are gonna be added to this box under the trophy. And we're going to see which team can get to the finals and have a chance to be the first ever Esports World Cup presenting League of Legends champions.
So I think it's about time, Fancy. How we feeling, Qiddiya Arena? Do you want to meet your teams? All right, introducing to the stage your first semi-finalist, Team Liquid! In the top lane, Impact. In the jungle, Hoopty. Mid laner, APA. AD carry, Yon. And in the support role, Core JJ! The heart of North America beats in this team as the spirit of a region charges their resolve. For today, they face their demons.
And their opponents. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, T1! In the top lane, Zeus, roaming the jungle, Owner. And in the bot lane, Guma, Yushi, and by his side, Keria. And in the mid lane, seeking yet another crown, Faker! The pride of the LCK, the Lion's Heart of South Korea, hunting for another key to crush. Giddy Arena, let me hear you roar for the reigning world champions!
Captains, please take your keys to their starting positions. And Gidea Arena and everybody at home, give a warm welcome to your first semifinalists, because the Esports World Cup presenting League of Legends semifinals begins right now.
Y'all see what Kangas did there? The resolve to face their demons because they're taking on the unkillable Demon King in the mid lane. Good job, Kangas. Okay, I see you. Team Liquid versus T1 as they do battle here in this best of three. Again, one of the unique parts of the format here, Joshi. Only a best of three.
Only a best of three and only single elimination. There is not a second chance. This is the time to start bringing out those crazy picks. We saw how effective they were in the quarterfinals. Hopefully, Team Liquid has something that they can still bring out.
You know, Ziggs has been a big talking point so far at this tournament. I would not be surprised to see some Ziggs action on one side or the other. And it's going to be a fun one, guys. I can't wait to see Team Liquid try once again to take down T1.
Yep, the storylines are all there with players being linked to each other's orgs. And of course, spawned one great Australian. So let's send it off to another one. Standing by right now, it's Atlas and Wolf for the call.
Thank you very much, Digon, and thank you for the introduction here as well as Spawn. You saw there getting ready to dive into this draft, as we are, Wolf.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Now, important to note, unusual when you consider the circumstances, right? We have one clear favorite in T1. It's actually Team Liquid that's the higher seed going into this match. They have side selection. They're going to be able to choose where they want to go, dictate the pace of this draft. So that's one extra edge Team Liquid have going into this best of three. We've seen a lot of really unique picks in this tournament. The Ivern really catching Genji off guard. We saw APA pull out the Ziggs mid. You know, great performance by him, but it was also into a Kassadin, and he ended up getting a massive lead there with his first strike and taking the game away. And we've seen a lot of teams be really surprised to really make large draft errors. Part of that being it's a new patch, it's only best of threes, short preparation time coming straight from domestic leagues. So if there's any world where Spawn and his squad can upset the defending world champions, it could be this best of three.
Yeah, exactly right. And as we move into the semifinals as well, you don't have nearly as much time to prepare. Like, I imagine a lot of these teams were prepping for their first matchup, right? And then it's like a single day, 2 days at most. And then you're straight back onto the Rift and you have to do it all over again. Of course, these teams getting a little bit of extra time than our teams that are going to be matching up in our next best of three. But it's only 1 day in lieu, right? So we'll just have to see how much adaptation, how much preparation has been done for both of these squads here at EWC to try and take home the victory. And of course, T1, reigning world champions, probably the favorites here. But I imagine, like, there are a few players on this team that are pretty good at just taking wins from Faker, right? Umpty, he can do it after 90 minutes, Wolf. Yeah. And Core JJ...
He does it in the World Finals.
He does it in the World Finals, and he creates the best photography the world has ever seen here in esports. So, I mean, there is definitely no lack of talent. We'll just see whether they can actually do it here on the day.
And of course, Impact, one of Faker's ex-teammates from SK Telecom back in the old days, one of the longest-standing players in pro play, along with Faker in this tournament. A ton of experience under his belt across so many different rosters. Such a veteran. APA coming in as this, somewhat new player to the scene. We heard about it on the desk as well, how a lot of people doubted him, but he's just continued to grow. He's continued to defy expectations. Faker's been dipping up and down in current form, right? Some weeks he looks great. He looks back to his best form. Some weeks he's looking a little bit rocky. His MSI form was not as good as people were really hoping it was going to be, especially when you compare it to his spring season, regular season form. Wow, they even brought the mascot.
Yeah, we saw this one a little bit earlier on. Kangas, of course, hanging out, getting some photos and things like that. Team Liquid, of course, out in force. You got to make sure you get your badge out of the way there.
That's top secret.
Absolutely top secret. Thank you very much. Making sure that he's keeping everything as above board as possible. That's our Kangas for you, Wolf. We are taking a little bit longer to get into this draft, making sure that all of the audio is sorted out for everyone. Faker with his eyes open hasn't even begun the reboot process just yet. So that shows that we are only moments away from diving into the draft for this one. Umpty looking pretty happy, and you actually saw a bunch of giggles going on this stage. I feel like oftentimes international competitions, we talk about nerves, we talk about players being anxious, and we haven't really seen that so much here at EWC. I feel like the atmosphere has been a little bit more lighthearted, and I think that's led to some of these more eclectic and interesting drafts.
Yeah.
Wolf?
I think it's a great way to cope with the stress of getting your key crushed after losing the best of 3. Especially in that quarterfinals, we had the big tournament favorites, Gen.G, taken out instantly, right? We had BLG play a fantastic series against T1. Arguably, all 3 games could have been won, especially games 1 and 3. Looked great for them. T1 take it anyways, 2-0. And, it's great for me to see Umpty happy on the stage. He was elated after he finally found success in the LCS. Emotional because he's had a rough go of it over in Korea in the LCK. And Team Liquid, I feel it could really make history, though, today if they can dethrone T1 here, prevent that run to the finals. And the tournament format just allows for it. There's the reboot.
Yep, it's reboot time. So we are taking a couple of extra moments getting into this one. That was a very, very quick one. I think we are definitely on
nice
solid
SSD.
State. Yeah. Definitely very solid state as far as the hard drive is concerned.
And, I very briefly was able to speak with Spawn actually this morning. I ran into him in the hotel, and they're feeling very confident going into this one. Obviously, when you ask someone, how confident are you going into the match, they're never going to say, well, I think it's doomed. But I do think that, the attitude that he's had going into this, very confident into Fnatic in the first series, moving into this series as well. They've had a lot of experience against T1. It was mentioned on the desk earlier that they nearly were able to beat T1 last time they faced off, but couldn't actually cross the finish line. Great early games, but T1 outplayed them in the end. That's what T1's known for. We saw it in that Game 3 against BLG. Comebacks, clutch plays, but maybe if you can get an oppressive lead like they did against Fnatic, especially with that Ziggs game, maybe there's no coming back. But early game, I think, is going to be quite critical in this series.
Yeah, and I'd say even earlier than the early game, because Impact played Rumble twice in a row. And I think if you can mind control T1 into letting them have Rumble twice in a row, I imagine that's the amount of games that you're going to see. Because, of course, the champion is extraordinarily strong, and this man on your screen right here is very, very good at the champion as well. So I think the draft is going to play a big part. I also spoke to Spawn this morning, Wolf, and he gave me some very, very insightful information. Do you want to know what it is?
Please tell me.
Okay, so basically what he told me was, it was 3 things. He said he knows that his team is going to try their very best to win. He also knows that T1 are going to try their very best to win, and he also then knows one of these teams is going to win. I really got nothing out of him. It was very sad. I thought we were friends, but no, not a whole lot. Still very stoic here on the stage as we are just making sure that everyone can hear things.
Yeah, that is quite critical.
Yeah, I've heard that that's good. Jan is going to have his headset back on again, and that's when we'll know that he can actually hear stuff, instead of just us talking about whether he can hear things or not in the arena, which must be very confusing.
It's a very tense moment for LCK fans, because while you know that T1 is the favorites coming into this, I think most people would agree that that was the case for Gen.G. Top Esports came out with some really fantastic play. Same with BLG. But T1 not having that dominant win means that you're already a little bit nervous about potentially facing off against G2 or more likely Top Esports in the grand finals. But even a hiccup here, even if you win it, if you're T1, if you're trying to bounce back for the LCK and for all the Korean fans watching this, there's a lot of pressure on you. You want to win it 2-0. You want to win it clean. You don't want to leave any doubt going into the grand finals that you are Korea's representative and that you could take out Top Esports if that's who you meet tomorrow.
And the thing for me is, Wolf, we've been here before. There was a time where the only team we had left after a whole bunch of very, very strong LCK squads were eliminated. It was just T1, and then they win the whole thing. So maybe we just let them run this gauntlet, and the fact that Gen G is out means that they're not as worried because they know that Gen G is a very difficult team for them to beat. It was not a very close series when we saw it in the LCK in the first round robin of summer.
I thought you were going to reference the FPX time. I was like, oh no, that didn't go so well.
Oh, no. We're not going back that far. We're not going back that far. Just pause. Oh, technical pause. There we go. Yeah, so T1, they're pretty good at being the last hope for Korea. And Gen G, no longer here. Didn't have a very long time to play on this stage. We'll see whether T1 can go the whole distance.
It does still seem to be an issue with Yun's periphery. Potentially audio is looking like the main concern here. So if you're just tuning in, as I'm sure a lot of you are pouring in here to watch the T1 face-off against Team Liquid, Yun's audio looks like it has a bit of an issue, so we're trying to get that resolved.
I noticed that he wasn't wearing a headset. Maybe that plays a part. I could probably be down there. That could help with the troubleshooting.
Yeah, maybe you could go fix it.
Yeah.
I'll hold down the fort.
I am a jack of all trades. We'll let the experts deal with it. Make sure that everything is completely sorted out. CoreJJ patiently waiting to get in there.
It was really fun shooting that content that you and I did earlier outside on the boulevard. We got in a golf cart. We drove through the really awesome venue we have here. We got to wear sunglasses. We don't normally.
I know. I should probably take those off
on TV.
Yeah, it's really not that bright in here. I mean, it is. There are some lights, so maybe we could leave them on, but it might make looking at the screen more difficult.
Yeah. It's very sunny here in Riyadh. Very windy today, as you guys probably saw when you had the players, get out of their limousines to come over here and get set up to play. We had some interviews of players, trying to get inside as soon as possible. It's very hot outside, but very cool in here.
Certainly is. Of course, when it gets to the evening, it's somewhat bearable. But otherwise, just want to try and stay in the air conditioning if you possibly can. But I sense that there are some headphones on heads.
Yeah, I see that. I see a mouse.
Yeah, some wiggling. Okay, we might be getting ready to dive into the draft here, and here we go. Draft begins. Game 1. T1 versus TL. Their names are pretty similar. They're two very different teams. We'll see who's going to be able to come out on top here, as TL with the blue side, they have a little bit more flexibility in what they're going to be taking away here.
Indeed. I will tell you guys that the draft priority has been all over the place this tournament. Everyone's reads on the meta are extremely different. It seems the LPLs have been the most robust and the most surprising, but we'll see. T1 will not make the same mistake that Fnatic did. We'll take that Rumble away from Impact instantly. The Tristana also removed. No Zyra for Owner, no Senna lanes. Faker's LeBlanc also taken away here. Kind of a niche, I don't want to say off-meta pick, but definitely you usually go down the rabbit hole of getting those 80s away before this pick becomes very relevant.
I feel like it's a fearless pick. I feel like LeBlanc always comes up after you've played the first round of mid laners, and then she's like extraordinarily high priority. It's very interesting. Well, last ban going to be that Corki and Sejuani. It feels like it's taken away from Ona, but we know Umpty absolutely loves Bristle and Sejuani.
Now, so you can take Ashe away here, or you could go for a Vi rotation. Now, I think given the Sejuani is already locked in, you don't necessarily need to grab Vi here right now, but with the Corki and the Tristana gone, the nerfs to Taliyah jungle, maybe Vi Taliyah is going to be the mid-jungle duo here for T1, but Faker potentially going back to an old favorite of the Azir will in fact lock in this Maokai flex pick instead. First, we've seen this played in the support role already here at EWC. Likely to be the jungle pick. Still so many mid AD picks available. The Jace is still available. That's been one of the ones we played in Korea. The Yone, more commonly.
Yep.
But the Ashe is a really big pick that stands out like a sore thumb to me because we know what Yun could do with it. We also saw it dominate yesterday. Gen G, Top Esports, crushed them with the Ash Sejuani.
Well, it's going to be Faker Azir, of course. Pretty synonymous player and champion combination. We'll see what APA is going to answer it with, because yes, the Tristana and Corki have been taken away, but it's always the Ziggs that your mind wanders to. But it's what the priority is going to be, right? Does APA allow his champion pool to be hit once again? Do they prioritize getting a bottom lane that's going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Gumayusi and Keria? Or do they just lock in Ziggs? And I think to just lock in Ziggs idea is a pretty good one. I'm down with it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and very flexible as well in this draft. Could be for Yun, could be for APA. Can just try to outrange. Well, this will make it a little bit more clear, as we've seen a lot of Aurelion Sol in North America, and it's been played, you know, sometimes here and there in the LCK. Kled would be very fun.
It would.
But I don't think that's going to be what we do see. It will be, in fact, instead, the Zeri. So we know that Ziggs is going mid lane now. Zeri is going bottom. I don't think Impact is going to be picking this champ up.
Yeah, I was about to say. Apparently, according to Zayas, it's a top laner. And it got a W. So I guess we can't even really say anything bad about it, as Faker has the last lock-in here for the first round of picks.
For sure.
Yeah, Ezreal looking pretty good.
Now, Ezreal gets locked in here. I think you need to look at the Leona if you are on the side of Team Liquid. Very powerful combo with the Ezreal. You've got great follow-up to that type of engage. You can set up the engage as well with the Maokai. So on the side of, on the other hand, Team Liquid, what sort of picks are they trying to look away here? Because normally, if you're playing the Ezreal, you're worried about pushing lanes if it's not a Zeri, but because it is the Zeri here, it could be just something like a Lulu to come through. Nautilus is still open. They're going to take away the Renekton here instead, which can be great lockdown for the Azir, great lockdown for the Ezreal specifically. Tough to play into the Maokai, but T1 are not going to take any chances.
Yeah, I was actually, I'm a bit surprised. I kind of thought that they would be targeting that support pool. I think wanting to keep that as open as possible to give Keria as many options moving towards the second round of picks. The Gnar going to be taken away as Spawn is going to join them as they focus towards the top side.
Yeah.
I wonder whether this means we're going to have an interesting top lane matchup. You know, Jackson Camille is still available, impacted Zayas, you know?
Yeah, the Cassante obviously follows the Gnar ban. You ban the Gnar, it feels like, okay, they're trying to grab a Cassante pick here. You want to remove that. Leona still available here. Team Liquid not actually taking this into account. It's been the strongest bottom support with Ezreal, the strongest duo, Ezreal-Leona, that we've seen really in the LCK. We saw it in this tournament already to great effect. So a really big power pick that I think when you're playing the Ziggs here, they're playing the Zeri. Want to remove. There's also the Nautilus as well.
Ooh.
Bard feels very Keria specific, but I think Leona is definitely the stronger option here, to be totally honest with you, Alice. If you ban the Leona, though, they just go straight to the Nautilus. You're kind of stuck in this position as Team Liquid.
And I think Team Liquid knew that the Leona was going to be the option here. Renata, a decent option into it, I guess.
I like the Alistar much more, though.
Yeah.
As it's not really full dive here for the side of T1. I think Renata would have gotten a lot more value out of that type of composition. Nautilus also a great option if you're worried about dives coming through. Great to lock down the Ezreal. In terms of lane, I strongly prefer the Alistar. In terms of lane, I really do not prefer the Rakan into this matchup. This is a very risky game that CoreJJ and Yun are playing.
It really is. And now they have to go for a blind pick on Impact's top lane champion. Man, CoreJJ must be feeling extraordinarily confident. Playing Rakan into the Leona is so incredibly difficult. However, there isn't a Talia on the map just yet. And we know that Rakan's worst enemy is the lady that throws rocks all over the floor. So thankfully, he doesn't have to deal with that. And I got half of my matchup. Pretty excited about that. The Jack's going to be locked in. Zayas, a lot of different options here. The man has a very large champion pool. We'll see what he's going to be playing, because the Twisted Fate is left up and available, and it's awful into the Jack, so it kind of blocks that out as well.
I wonder if he's going to be happy to play something like a Camille here. I mean, they have a lot of lockdown with that. Jace, also an option I mentioned earlier, very powerful with the Maokai, because the Maokai route sets up one guaranteed empowered shock blast to come through at the acceleration gate. Very, very strong into a matchup like the Jax as well. If played carefully, if played correctly. Similar to Gragas, you can, if you are in hammer form, just knock the Jax away. Play defensively up there. The Maokai is going to have a lot of power in this top jungle duo. On the bottom side of the map, I am very concerned about how Yun and CoreJJ's laning phase is going to go. If it was a Ziggs in the bottom lane with this Rakan, at least you'd have the wave clear to back it up. Azeri, though, going to feel very vulnerable down here. And if you set up a stun, get that Zenith Blade, The empowered Q coming through from Ezreal, it's the W on you. It's almost guaranteed when you have this much damage early too, and the Ezreal can poke out the Rakan. Very tough to play. I think the mid lane, as it kind of has been for Team Liquid so far this tournament, is really the key point here. How much of a lead can APA generate in this lane matchup against Faker? How much gold can he get with First Strike? What kind of leads are we going to see? Against Fnatic, he was able to take several turrets, tons of plates. He was too big to fail. Not necessarily sure that's going to happen against Faker.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried, especially about the bottom side of the map. I can't keep my eyes off the Ezreal, Leona into Zeri Rakan matchup. Just feels like T1 are going to have a field day down there. And like you say, APA needs to get a lead, but I feel like there's even more pressure being placed elsewhere on the map. And perhaps, you know, we've been talking about these laners, but perhaps the general needs to come out and get something done. The man is pretty good at getting a couple of early ganks in, and maybe Umpty can be the key to victory here for Team Liquid. On the other side, I mean, T1, I don't think that there is much to critique, right? This is a very standard T1 composition. We've seen this ran so many times, and I imagine it's just going to be like clockwork that they're going to get this game underway. I think it's like, this is a great opportunity for TL to try and throw a wrench into the works, because game number one, it's a best of 3. If you can get them unsteadied, that might be a way to take down the world champions. But it's a tough task. Let's dive onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen. Game 1 of our first semi-final between T1 and TL starts now.
Off we go, Atlas. I love these walkouts. I don't want to call them walkouts because that's usually what we refer to players, but the champion walkouts look so cool here. And his First Strike on the Ziggs. This is really common because he can generate a ton of gold early with this rune. And one thing to mention about the Ziggs, we talked about how he can kind of poke and harass the Azir and how it can be a good matchup if played well. Umpty can kind of hover there. The Azir also is really good into fairly immobile champions like the Ziggs. Has his satchel charge defensively, of course, but if he gets Emperor's divided, he will find himself in a lot of trouble. That's why it's really tough to play these types of mages into the Azir.
And what I have learned from like a lot of very one-sided conversations with Daniel Orcs Harrison is that if you use your satchel charge aggressively, you best believe that you have to be completely safe when you do so. And as APA is an absolute master of this champion, I imagine he's not going to be running into too many problems there, as
high-value ward
are in the top lane.
Yeah, looking like a lane swap situation here potentially for the side of Team Liquid. Now, Zeri can push turrets very quickly with her Q. You know, if she is able to spend some time with it, can be quite strong, and the ability to grab plates is really good for Zeri in a lot of matchups. But Ezreal also has the ability to crush turrets with his W. His little hula hoop he's going to put around the turret is going to make that much easier. Zeus also getting involved early here.
Yeah, this is a little bit dicey as APA goes down to about 50%. The Sand Soldier's getting involved as well. And one of the most important things is that APA missed experience on a couple of these minions here in mid as well. So Faker with a lot more tempo than you may initially expect after APA is able to just wander his way back to lane.
Yeah, considering also that, you know, Zeus has basically, you know, arguably 3 abilities at level 1. He's going to be able to do a ton with it. Push into that health bar. APA now in a bit of trouble. Zeus is going to come over here and put the harass onto Impact.
Yeah,
so what happened when Ben TP'd bot last time.
Yep, you can see a little bit of spare time for the Zeri, but now the engage comes through. Impact does have the counter-strike, has of course skilled that one. As Gumayusi able to come on over, does pick up the turret aggro. They need to try and get this kill. As Guma goes down low, there's the flashes. Zenith Blade doesn't work. Core comes in. That is still first blood going over to Gumayusi, but can he keep himself alive? As Core JJ's got heal, he doesn't have the ignite. Never mind, there's the general. And they even out the scoreline. And now Carrier, I don't know, guys. I think he might be dead. He's kind of on the wrong side of the map, and he's trying to run his way out.
Zeus has to back, does have teleport here. Carrier definitely going to go down. A huge win here for TL. Ultimately, great flash of the Q by Impact. Buys just enough time. Everybody's so low on the side of Team Liquid. What they did to Bin in that BLG series after the TP, they will not do to Impact. A nice try there, but Impact just simply outplays it. Jack's a lot more difficult to die because of his Counter-Strike, because of his mobility. This ends up being a huge win for Team Liquid.
And the thing that I absolutely love about this is it goes back to what TL know about T1. And in their experience as well, T1 at MSI were not all that comfortable with lane swaps. They didn't quite figure it out. And yes, lane swaps are being nerfed. It's not the right way to play the game, but you can hide your bottom lane in this matchup and make things really lopsided, just like this as the buffer comes in from the Arcane Shift, but that means absolutely nothing. CoreJJ able to get his way out as Carrier wants to try and get something started.
Look at this,
There are
APA.
so many minions here. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it's just another one for TL.
TPing top as well, not going to lose any of that top farm. Is going to be able to just leave Faker solo there in the mid lane, but killing Guma, denying his farm here, picking up some additional gold. Team Liquid pulling ahead quite substantially here in this game at very little cost to them.
And I mean, the one big cost is the fact that Owner is the one farming, and Umpty has kind of said, well, I don't care about my jungle. I'm going to try and get my lanes into a good spot before I take care of myself. The selflessness of a true bro player, as we know. And he has taken that to North America, and it's working out here so far. But you can see Owner has a whole lot more farm than what Umpty's been able to put together.
He's already got his Faded Ashes. Umpty sitting here at level 3, a level behind. We'll be able to clear his top side of his jungle. He's got a lot of farm he can pick up there, so we'll catch up a little bit. Meanwhile, down here...
Yeah, it's a fair bit of damage coming through there as the Grand Entrance going to be Arcane shifted. Battle Dance to just make sure that CoreJJ is going to be all right. And TL will pick up this wave as it heads towards them. I don't think T1 are going to be too phased about how this has gone, but I do think that it's a great boon for Yon and CoreJJ especially, because we knew that this bottom lane was going to be very difficult to navigate, and you mess around with it, you like start these lane swaps and stuff like that. It does allow you to kind of hide that potential weakness in this matchup.
It certainly allows you to avoid the toughest parts of it for sure. And he has 20 minions down on his call already, Yun, so in a pretty good spot. But Carrier looking for the assist here on Owner.
Yeah, doesn't get the Zenith Blade after he blast cones in. Popcorn Chicken's going to be collected by Umpty. Unable to get the last one is now Gumiishi firing some shots towards CoreJJ.
It's an action-packed game to start this off.
It is.
For sure. As Guma here going to allow this wave to push a little bit more as Carrier comes back. No way to punish that return here of the Leona. Super tanky. But they have kind of avoided, like you say, the 2v2 for its most dangerous parts. But now it's starting to normalize a little bit more. Now Guma is going to be able to catch up a little bit here in farm. Still down CS. We'll see what they can make of things. Faker, obviously, a small benefactor of the extra time he had in mid lane there. Will be able to TP back to lane. Has a pretty big CS advantage himself. Once he catches this wave. So it's not all roses here for Team Liquid, but really great for this area. And once that Cole finishes too, he's going to have so much gold as Umpty, maybe a bit alone.
Yeah, even the short fuse doing a fair bit of damage here to Owner, who does have mainly damage as the Mega Inferno Bomb comes in. The flash forward from the APA, but it doesn't matter. Faker just sweeps up Umpty, puts him into the death chamber, and now T1, they have full control of these grubs.
Yeah, really tough fight to take there, unfortunately, as Umpty. Yes, you have the Ziggs back up there, but the Emperor's Divide in a choke point like that is going to be basically a guarantee. APA also using his flash means he's going to be more vulnerable once Faker gets that ultimate cooldown back. Carrier holding down the fort here as the lead continues to grow for the bottom lane of Team Liquid, but a huge bounce back now for TL. And the Jace matchup into the Jax, we haven't talked about this too much because we weren't seeing it initially in this game with the lane swap and all the shenanigans. Pretty good for the Jace because, yeah, you can counter-strike, but it only lasts for a little while, and the Jace will continue to have that range advantage over you. As we look at this play once again, Umpty pretty greedy here. He has APA to back him up. There's a satchel charge, right? There's ways to peel, but you just don't, unfortunately, have anything to deal with this Emperor's Divide. Owner has to use his flash, but it's well worth it.
It is. Faker able to just come in and collect the kill. Now back in the mid lane, as you can see here, CoreJJ moving on over. And not too much going to come of it. But still, if you look at the top of your screen, only 300 gold going to be in it between the two squads. TL still very happy about the game state right now. And I think as the game goes on, they have so many threats. We know Ziggs scales extraordinarily well. Jax in a side lane, almost unbeatable by what T1 has. And T1 themselves, a lot of team fighting availability, right? But I think that there is a lot of opportunity for TL in the later stages of the game if they can keep themselves competitive. But now Owner is trying to stop that. The Grand Entrance comes in. Yon just skates his way out. And the that Nature's Grasp not really getting too much ground here against TL's bottom lane.
Yeah, not really. CoreJJ does have his Merc Treads, a huge part of this. He's able to get out very easily, despite the ultimate going down. Rakan, a very slippery champion, very difficult to lock down. Further issues here on the top side, as we were alluding to moments ago. Impact having a really tough time.
D actually manages to steal away the Gromp here, as Keria is going to come up and try to assist. Of course, we know CoreJJ in the area, so not going to be a full scuffle, but 2 camps going to be stolen by Sejuani. That is going to be great here for TL, especially when we'd already illustrated that Umpty was the one that had to give up so much in the early game, was behind a whole bunch of camps. I think it was like 5 camps or something like that, and has now evened things out entirely.
Yeah, True Sharp Barrage here is not going to amount to anything, but, you know, you miss every shot you don't take.
I mean, he still hit 2 people.
True. And a dragon as well.
Yeah.
So he's just helping them with their clear.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, it's worth trying that out. Obviously, you're not going to need that ultimate for anything right now. Both top laners just teleported back. So you have a very lopsided top side game state that's favoring T1. Bottom side, pretty huge advantages for Team Liquid. You mentioned Umpty getting that farm back, but Yun has maintained this CS advantage, has that extra kill, obviously in his belt as well. So he's up 500 gold right now in this bottom lane. And I think some proactivity is going to be needed here for Owner. Without his ultimate, you know, wasn't able to do anything in that interim, but maybe could make an impact here either top or mid as Guma continues to farm things out.
And do you know what I'm fascinated about, Wolf? I'm just wondering whether APA said anything in ult chat yet. I am really curious. I imagine that Dagon and the gang are probably, you know, staying on the ball there. But I'm so curious as to what it is. Very much looking forward to finding out as Keria and Gumayushi closing in onto Yun, but he's Zeri, so he just skates over the wall, and everything is absolutely fine. Now a potential gank here as Ona moves towards the top side, lurking in the fog of war.
Faker coming over to threaten that at the same time bottom there as you mentioned.
Ooh. Okay, will Impact move up further than he should, as they know Umpty is here as well, as there's the counter-strike. They start this one off. Nature's Grasp comes down. Glacial Prison comes in as well. Impact, the first one to be focused. The Permafrost comes in. Umpty not able to actually finish off the kill as APA. He turns up Mega Inferno Bomb, and that's going to be the kill for the Ziggs. Ona looking to run away. The short fuse. There's the satchel charge, and he closes the distance, and there goes the tree. Faker 1 versus 3, and even though these health bars are low, I don't know whether he's going to be able to take anything here if TL do decide to turn. And that is a great play from the North American representatives.
Absolutely. It was jungler versus top laner there on both sides of that fight until APA showed up. And it begs the question, how did APA get here? Because Faker is not actually denying his rotation. Okay, take a look. Impact over here, very low. Zeus has to flash, still gets permafrosted. It's the teleport here from APA, completely circumvents Faker. Faker a little bit late to actually come up here and deny the play, so teleport advantage to APA allows him to make this happen, and it's a huge win. Nothing Owner could do, no escape here. Even with Faker showing up with flash and ult, he can't turn the play. They will be able to get these grubs out of this, or at least a majority of them, as they have this choke point once again controlled with the Emperor's Divide. But man, what a lead for Team Liquid so far.
Yeah, it's definitely going well here in this early game. As we move towards mid, though, that's when things can get a little bit more dangerous. 4 grubs now collected for T1. I think a big deal for Zeus, who does so much damage on this Jace to turrets. You know, you sort of sit there in gun form, press your W, and you just wipe them out. And so definitely going to be something worth looking out for here as T1 try to accelerate into their 1 to 2 item power spikes, right? Like, this is what this composition is so incredibly good at. It's utilizing these early spikes. They might be able to get something done. Unless Umpty has something to say about it as he moves towards the top side. There's going to be the special delivery. He's been tanking up this turret for such a long time. Grand entrance is what locks it down. And the TL flare pops up above Umpty as he walks his way out. It's another kill for the North American squad. 6-2, the kill score now.
Yeah, Impact and Keria traded flashes down here on the bottom side as well. Looks like Keria trying to go a bit deep there potentially. We got the tail end of that, but they do end up trading flashes. Impact here just going to hold down the fort. Guma should get this plate relatively easily, but a Ziggs alone with a turret is a big problem. Owner going to commit the ult here top side to try to chase him down, but won't be successful. And Atlas, this game is wild, but this is the kind of early game we were saying Team Liquid could come out with some surprises. They could play a great early game. They could get a lead. They've checked all those boxes. It's what happens next around these next few objective fights where Team Liquid need to solidify this advantage. We saw them do it at MSI. We saw them get those advantages. We did not see them close the game out. But the Ziggs is so huge so early. Not quite as big as he was in the Fnatic series in Game 1. But it's still going to be a huge problem here for Team T1 to deal with. And it feels like it's not just a hands diff, it's not just matchup diff, it's just macro calls here from Team Liquid. They came up with a clear plan here. The execution has been crisp, and that's what you love to see from a North American team taking on the defending world champions.
No, absolutely, and I want to go back to it. I think, like, commending the preparation is what we should be focusing on here, because Team Liquid, they did their research, they did their homework, and they came up with a great way to tackle this T1 squad. I think the early lane swap, even though they didn't get a massive lead, they put enough weirdness into this game to allow Yon to have a 20 CS advantage up against Gumayushi. APA going to get thrown underneath the turret here, but Umpty is there to protect him. Doesn't land the ulti though, and down goes the Ziggs. I don't think Umpty's going to die here, but CoreJJ finds himself on the wrong side of the map. Battle Dance gets himself out as Umpty comes on over and gives him a target to head towards. So it is just APA falling down, but it's T1 finding a bit more tempo here on this map.
Yeah, I think APA getting a little bit of greed there because he knew Umpty was nearby, but Faker flashing the Arctic Assault there. They have enough damage. And that's going to be the Dragon here going over to T1. It wasn't in the mid lane where he got punished on the Ziggs to this Emperor's Divide, but in fact in the sides. We're 1-1 apiece. Hextech Soul is the Dragon. An amazing Dragon for both teams.
Yeah.
You can see the Ziggs poke, but also the Ezreal and the Jace here for T1. I think we're going to see a lot of action on the bottom side of the map for these next few Dragons.
Not to mention Zeri. That's a lot of electricity, Wolf. It's going to be going everywhere as Umpty going to get slammed by the Bramble Smash, formerly known as the Arcane Smash. He's now going to use it on the Raptors. Looks like Owner is not going to be pursuing Umpty here towards the Herald. Baker does look to potentially start this one up.
He doesn't have TP, but he has the Hex Gate, so he can get over to this objective very quickly. As we are going to start the Herald up as this replay happens. Notice this, Emperor's Divide comes through, APA, no flash, and then Faker as well. Satchel Charge doesn't save him, flashes the ult here, the Glacial Prison, and is able to take him out. He doesn't feel too bad about it. He just knows he got outplayed.
Yeah. Don't lip read that. It was a naughty word. But still, it was a decent attempt, right? Because APA gets caught at just the wrong time with the Satchel Charge. Could have almost been him just getting out scot-free. And that would have been a huge advantage for TL. Not exactly the end of the world, though, for the North American squad right now, as they do collect themselves. The Rift Herald do T1. Zeus going to dodge the Glacial Prism, but that is another flash. Umpty is just flash police today. He's going around collecting all of them. And even though he lost his mid laner, he did collect the flashes of both of the solo lanes on T1. So maybe set up for some sort of fight here as we look towards the next Hextech Drake, or the first Hextech Drake of the game.
Right, and the scary thing about this game state here for T1 is that, yes, they've got great wave clear, they've got a Ziggs on the side, which is always terrifying. T1 will need to respect it, but T1 have the Herald, and the Herald can allow them, if timed correctly, to get a lot of control over that bottom side of the map. They were able to pick up the Herald top side, so they could just put their focus bottom, as long as this Ziggs isn't given too much free time with the turret. So Faker is going to be in this position where he's going to have to sit bottom kind of alone. They're going to hover top side here with Owner on this Maokai to keep the Ziggs at bay. The Ziggs gets locked down. Zeus has enough burst damage to take him out easy peasy. So this is where T1 really need to solidify their control over the bottom side. Keep that Ziggs away from the turret. They can stave this off for the next few minutes. Use that Herald correctly. They should have the Dragon start in their control. As CoreJJ, bit of a Hexgate journey.
Yeah, this is somewhat aggressive as he's going to get stunned, but not before he gets over the wall, and that is going to mean that he survives and doesn't actually have to use too much of anything at all.
He's just teasing him this whole game.
Yeah, I was feeling a little bit nervous as more Hexgate shenanigans come through here. No outer turret on this bottom side as Faker trying to take the long walk to get out of the way of Umpty, who does have that ulti back up and available once again. Control ward in this brush. Umpty just going to settle for the Gromp for now as Yon hops into the gate and gets himself out.
Faker having the Sundisk, he feels pretty safe here, Atlas.
Yeah,
you know, it looks
it's such a weird position though, Wolf, right? Like, it's just a lot of jostling. We're jostling right now.
Yeah, jostling, trades. I mean, Team Liquid showcasing great macro. Yun, see if he can avoid this.
Ooh, able to skate his way out. Yeah, really nice slide, actually. Takes Carrier for a ride with him.
Doesn't need to cleanse, but will take some damage here from that Mystic shot of Guma. Minute 40 until this dragon spawns. Herald at the ready. And this is where T1 will have a little bit of control for the first time of an objective fight. They had to wrestle it away in that first fight where they were able to pick Umpty there, force the flash out of APA. This time they get to start the fight on their terms. And for the first time in this game, it really feels like T1 can do what they want, right? Team Liquid have kind of pulled them into their world, what they prepared in the early game for a majority of this game. Faker also has TP, has gone to the top side here. Very dark up here, so Faker going to respect it. Umpty threatening.
Yeah.
Man, Team Liquid is so scary on the map right now.
Umpty is like, he is really pushing. He's trying to find any opportunity. As soon as anyone oversteps, he is there to try and counteract. And I love the proactivity coming out of the man. This is something that we have seen from him in the past, but it seems to be ramping up here in this game.
There's that Herald drop I was talking about here.
Yeah.
Flank from Impact, but he's spotted.
Kerry going to be piloting this one as there's the grand entrance. They get the knock up onto the Leona, but not exactly a key target as the bouncing bomb doing a lot of damage here to Ona, who is pretty squishy on this Maokai for now. Not going to be the end of the turret, but it is very close to going down.
Faker going to go topside to try to catch that wave. A lot of minions lost actually for T1 coming down for that Herald play. Remember, he does have the teleport to go straight to Dragon, but T1, because they didn't get the turret, not confident to actually group for it faster. And Team Liquid actually gaining a lot of prio as a result. Looks like they may opt to try to, just give this up. And this is quite wild to see. I mean, T1 had the Herald. They had an Ezreal pushing the lane. Impact has free control over the side right now as a Jax. And they're just making faster rotations right now. T1 need to make something happen here in mid lane, or this Dragon may be lost.
Well, Solarflay is going to come on through, but it's Umpty. He's able to tank that one up very comfortably. Mega Inferno Bomb is massive, and Ona just gets taken down. The Nature's Grasp finds absolutely nothing.
Yeah, just used defensively there, but gets nothing back. Owner is dead, and that should be Team Liquid pushing ahead in terms of Dragon control here. They had the control, they had prio, but they weren't happy with that. They wanted to pick, and they get it.
Gumiushi looking for an opportunity here. It's Core JJ. He finds it. The quickness was on, and Yon's going to take him down. Inner turret is going to be a prize as well, as Faker was on the inner turret, but Impact is there to get rid of him. Outer turret and Dragon, and 2 kills here for Team Liquid. They are on a tear.
They are on a tear indeed. Massive lead in this game now.